welcome back to another video. So today we're back here for another speed build, and today we're going to go ahead and create this sleek luxury mansion. So if you'd like to go ahead and download this for yourself, it is up on the gallery now. My origin ID is Real Thomas TV1. So this is kind of just like a modern themed mansion. I do quite like to do modern mansions. I do have a problem with all of them though, is that I always really find it difficult to make the exteriors look interesting. And I just generally struggle with the exterior of mansions overall. But I do really love doing modern themed interiors, so that's kind of what I was really looking forward to in this build. I did have quite a bit of trouble with the exterior, just trying to make it look different, because although, you know, modern builds are kind of a challenge, I always end up going with the same sort of design, and they always look a little bit similar. So I did spend a lot more time on this build, about over 2 hours actually, which, well, I mean, that isn't really a long time, but still, compared to me, normally I wouldn't spend that much time on a mansion, and it can, you know, depend on the size of lots. This is only 50 by 50, and, you know, there's bigger ones I could do from this. So yeah, I just spent a bit more time on this one, and I kind of pushed it back another week. So you would have saw this last Sunday, but I thought, you know what, let's just take my time with this, and that's what I did today. So as you would have saw from the thumbnail, at least I hope, because I haven't actually made the thumbnail yet, but I think I'm going to do the thumbnail at night time, because I don't think I've done that before with a build, and I always have trouble when it comes to doing thumbnails with a build that's at night. It just always looks really too dark. Even though I can, like, you know, edit it, it still just doesn't really look right. But I spent a bit of time on the exterior lighting of this build to make it look really good at night, and I think that might work well for a thumbnail today. So hopefully I did do the thumbnail at night. If not, then must mean that my editing skills aren't that good, but, you know, hopefully I can do that. So I had a bit of trouble with this build in terms of how the front of it looks. As you can see, it still looks a bit boxy, and I kind of just played around with different wallpapers to kind of contrast a little bit, and that's always what I have trouble with modern builds, is that they look a little bit too boxy, even though that's something that you probably see a lot with modern style of architecture on builds, but still, it just doesn't always look that interesting for The Sims. So like I said, just spend a bit more time on this build helped with that. So this build in total has 5 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms, and it came in at 376,020 simoleons, and I built it on a 50 by 50 lot in Willow Creek on the Oakenstead lot. And the packs used today, I did use quite a few. Like I said, I put a lot more effort into this build, and I didn't want to restrict myself too much. So for the expansions, I used all of them apart from Get to Work. For the game packs, I used Parenthood, Dine Out and Spa Day, and for the stuff packs, I used Fitness Stuff and Perfect Patio Stuff. Now, again, a few of those packs don't use that many items from them. Actually, from Island Living, all I used was a lamp. So if you don't have Island Living, then that isn't going to be too much of an issue. And if you don't know this, on the gallery, if you actually click on the pack icons that it said it's being used, if you click on them, it actually tells you what specific items are being used from that pack, so you could have a look through and see if, oh well, I don't have this pack, how many items were used from it, and then see if it would make a big difference to the build. Now, I do actually think that when you place a build, it does replace it with base game items or items from other packs, so that might not be too much an issue. The only thing is that I've tried that before. What I did once is that I finished a build, and then I disabled all the packs. You know, I didn't uninstall them, I just did the temporary thing with the game properties, and I just went back into the game, then loaded up the build and see what would happen, and it was replaced with base game items, but it's just the thing that all the colour swatches were a bit random, and it didn't really flow that nicely, but, you know, you can then go ahead and change those items up if you need to. But yeah, so I did also mention before that this is built in Willow Creek. I did have a bit of trouble deciding where to put this, because the modern theme of it, it just had a bit of trouble trying to fit that into Willow Creek, but, you know, that is something that you may see as well. And even in Windenburg, because I've done a lot of modern builds within Windenburg, kind of having like an old place and then kind of having a nice new renovated property or something like that. So I suppose when you think of it that way, it just fit into Willow Creek. I was actually thinking of Newcrest as well. I always associate Newcrest with doing modern builds in, but there just wasn't really the lot size I was looking for a mansion, so this is kind of the best place to put it. You could maybe put it in Solani if you wanted to. That's also a lot like a nice build, I think, for doing modern builds, so that could also be a place. But the only thing is that I think the only 50 by 50s in Solani are water lots, so I'm not too sure what happens if you place a lot like this into a water lot. I haven't tried that before, so I'm not too sure if that would work or not, but that's another option. So yeah, the backyard area again in this build I really love. I did try to make the pool look a little bit interesting. It is kind of very big and just has a lot of different edges to it. And I did actually do an indoor pool today as well. So like I said, there is a basement. Did I mention that? I'm not too sure. I have done this voiceover a few times already, so I'm not too sure if I'm repeating myself or not. So yeah, there is a basement in this build. It has a few more bedrooms and actually a living room as well, which I'll talk about in a second. And then I did also go ahead and put an indoor pool down there as well. It's like a really long, sort of like a lap pool, and I don't really do those too often in my builds, but I thought a basement would be a good place to put that, so I went ahead and did that down there. So you'll see that more towards the end of the build. So, like I was just saying about the living room thing, there isn't actually like a proper living room in this build. I know that's really weird to say, but just with how the kind of floor plan worked out in the main part of the home, so excluding the basement, it just wouldn't really work out that well. So there is like a living room section kind of in the centre of the home, where the glass roof is at the back, but there isn't actually a TV there. It's more just this formal sitting area. And then in the basement there is kind of like more of a cinema style room with a huge TV from City Living and some more seating areas down there. And of course a bar. I always seem to put bars in every room in my builds. I don't know what that's saying about me, but you know, I just seem to put them a lot in my builds. And also I think it fits in nicely with the luxury theme as well. And also this idea of the word sleek in the title, that was actually thanks to my friend Yorkie, because the other week when I did that clean modern mansion build, I kind of didn't know if that was actually what I was going to call it. So I kind of sent the picture of the build to him and kind of thought of some different kind of words that you associate with the build, and sleek was another one. I ended up going for clean modern mansion, but I did really like the word sleek, and I thought I'd use that again in another build, so thank you to him for that. And yes, so now we're just working on the night lighting, as I said earlier. I don't always go around with builds and put this much kind of lighting in, especially in landscaping. As you saw them using those little pool lights and putting them inside the plants, and you have to use move objects for that. And I used to do that a lot in my builds, but I don't do that as much now for some reason. But I thought today, like I said, I really wanted to do the thumbnail at night today for this build, so I really wanted to make sure I put enough lighting in everywhere. And I did use a lot of lighting on the house as well, as you can see there, like those porch lights. I think those actually class as indoor lights, but I did use them on the exterior because they're quite got like a nice modern theme to them. And yes, so the kind of exterior, there's a few other things going on. There is actually a few balcony areas around the build. I think there's actually 2 hot tubs, one on kind of like the diagonal balcony of the home, and then also one towards the back of the backyard area here. We've got a little gazebo area, as you saw there, with the outdoor seating area, and again, like I said, some balconies with, again, some more seating areas, and I did do like an easel on one of them. And then we've got some more sitting areas around like the just general backyard space. I think I also went ahead and put a yoga mat in as well. I think I did. So I just kind of try to put some more activities in just so you Sims have, you know, more to do. As you know, I don't play the game myself that often as I'm always building, but when I do, I'm one of those players that don't really travel that much within the worlds for some reason. Maybe it's just because I don't want to sit through loading screens or something, which is a really weird excuse, but anyway, so when I have, you know, a household in a big home like this, I do try to kind of pack it full of loads of different stuff for them to do in the house so I don't have to travel. So that kind of sticks with me when I come to do builds like this, and try to just put as much stuff in as I can. And there's also a study as well. It's kind of in the hallway area upstairs, but also a few other bedrooms have their own study area in them. So we're starting on the interior now. As you can see, it is very kind of light in terms of the colour scheme. I think it fits in nicely with modern builds, and especially this one today, with kind of the theme of it. I did want it to be quite nice and clean, and you know, luxurious, so a lot of expensive items, but kind of keeping it simple at the same time, and I think that kind of fits in well with a modern theme, so I did that there. And this is the living room section here, so that's what I was on about before. It is kind of just like a sort of space in the main section of the home, and there isn't really a TV there. You could probably put one in, but like I said, there is one downstairs in the basement. And talking about the basement again, as I said, there are 5 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms, but since there is a basement in this home, it would be really easy to expand on the home that way in the basement and put more bedrooms and bathrooms in if you need it. I think, you know, basements are always a really great way to do that, because you don't have to worry about the floor plan or how it looks from the outside. You kind of just expand on as much as you want. I was going to do a few more bedrooms down there, but I just thought that was enough, because sometimes what happens is when I do a lot of bedrooms is that they're always, well, at least a couple of them will end up being quite similar. So that's why I didn't go for any more bedrooms than 5 today. But originally I did have some more planned in down there, but then I took them out later in the build. So, you know, there is the space there if you want to add those back in. So this is the garage. As you can see, I did change it into a gym as well. That's something I do a lot with their builds. I know like the debug car sitting there in the middle of a very modern gym looks a little bit weird, but at the same time it is the garage, so it kind of fits in that way. But if you want to take that car out, then feel free. There are a few more debug cars on the driveway as well, as you can see. One of the bathrooms here, again, the bathrooms, I don't show all of them in my builds. They are fairly the same really. I try to just keep them the same. I think it looks better that way than having like loads of different colours of bathrooms all throughout the home. And because of that, I didn't really show you all of them in today's build, just because they're all fairly similar. So the kitchen here today, it isn't like the biggest kitchen in the world, but it is still a decent size. It does also have like a breakfast table here, and then you go through that archway into that diagonal room where there's kind of the formal dining room, and then also go ahead and put another bar area in there, of course. And then as you can see, we do have double ovens, and I did go ahead and put those in the island counters. I think that looks nice sometimes. I don't always do it that way, but I just think that it kind of makes it look a little more expensive for some reason, so I went ahead and did that today. And yeah, so today is the 2nd. I know, well, I mean, I hope this is going up on the 2nd. It is kind of later in the day, so hopefully I can still get this up today. But anyway, in 2 days' time, it is The Sims 20th anniversary, which is really crazy to think the game's been around for that long. So I'd really love to hear what you think might come with the anniversary, because I'd imagine for such a big milestone like that the Sims team would be doing something quite big. I don't actually know anything, but I'm just really hoping that will be. I think it'd be a bit disappointing if, you know, we'll have all this excitement for the 20th anniversary and then we maybe get like a few new hairs for Creator Sim and a few new build buy objects. I'm really hoping for something like amazing and just something quite, just like a big feature or something like that. For example, cars, I would really love that. Is that really that realistic though? I'm not too sure, but that's just an example of something like really big that everybody's been really wanting for a long time. I think that would be a good opportunity to drop it on the 20th anniversary, so I hope that's going to be the case. But if you have any ideas of what could happen on that day, is it Tuesday? Is the 4th of Tuesday? I think it is. Yeah, it is. So, you know, hopefully we'll get something big. So if you have any ideas, then let me know, as I'd love to hear what you think about that. So we're just working on one of the bedrooms, and there are 3 upstairs and then the others are in the basement. And with the upstairs here, as you can see, with the reflections, I did go ahead and put some skylights in. I did do quite a few of them today. I think it fits in well with just modern builds, I think. And also when I do roofs like this, which you just use half walls rather than actual roofs, I do actually have the space to put in more skylights as well. So that's why I tend to put a lot in with these modern builds that use half walls instead of roofs. So I think it looks nice as well with the kind of lighting here, especially later in the day when it's the sun setting, which it is here, I think. No, that's the morning actually, so when the sun's rising as well. And again, with modern builds, I find it hard to do kids rooms with them, so there isn't really any of those today. But if I am doing a home like this, which is neutral, I do try to switch up the colour swatches of the bedrooms a little bit so you can kind of imagine your Sims living in a particular room. So not really personalised, but do have a little bit of a different sort of character between them all. And this room right here is a guest room. It does actually have the balcony going out to it, which is a little bit inconvenient having to go to the big balcony through somebody's bedroom, but I kind of had a bit of a headache trying to work out how I could make the floor plan work like that. But I just thought that, you know, it is the guest room, so maybe not somebody's going to be using that room all the time, so, you know, maybe cutting through that room to get to this balcony isn't so much of a bad thing. So up here there is just a few more kind of, you know, outdoor activities similar to what there is in the main backyard area. So a bar area, a hot tub, and also a few more seating areas there, as you can see, and that kind of fireplace coffee table from City Living, which I really love. I use that quite a lot if I'm doing outdoor seating spaces. And then the last kind of part of the home that we're working on today is the basement. So we do have this indoor pool here, which is quite big. You could actually make it smaller or bigger if you want to, because there would be the space to do that. I didn't really do anything else in this room. I kept it fairly simple and just the pool. I didn't really think you need like another, you know, sitting area down here, really, do you? But if you want to add that in, then feel free to do that. And it just, like I said, we've got 2 more bedrooms to do and the living room, and then we'll be heading on the screenshots in just a few minutes time. So I really hope you enjoyed. In the comment section down below, let me know about what you thought of it. If you have any more suggestions for other builds or mansions or anything else that you want to see on the channel next, that'd be really helpful to hear. Leave a like, share, and subscribe if you haven't, and you can go ahead and download this build from the gallery. My origin ID is RealThomasTV1, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!